Hey, everybody. Welcome to January the 19th, the beginning of your best year ever. Who knows what else is going on out there? I don't know. You can't control it. I can't control it. The only two things you and I can control are our attitude and our effort. And so I cannot wait for you guys to go through this with Jim Dunn. I've gone through it myself a year ago, December 2019. We did this, and what was really amazing, so buckle up and be prepared because this is going to be good. And we won't get through everything in an hour because I think if I remember right, it was about a half-day session with Jim a year ago. But every one of my goals, these 5 goals that I wrote down in December of 2019 happened in spite of all of the challenges. And when COVID hit, I thought, there is no way I can hit some of those goals, but every one of them was hit, which is really amazing. So be prepared. I'm excited for you to meet Jim Dunn and go through his best year ever seminar. Here's one other thing, couple housekeeping things. So as you guys are getting on, hit me up on the Q&A, write those, and I will get those to Jim. I'll hit them on the chat. Do not send your questions in the chat, please. Thank you very much. Jim Dunn, it is all yours, and I am making you the host at this point.
Okay. Hey, Gary, thank you. I appreciate everybody tuning in. Happy New Year, everybody. Great to have you. By the way, the best accounting firm in town is BGW. They are a client of mine. They do wonderful, wonderful work. And I can't thank them enough for hosting this today and making this a reality. And for those of you who have been working on the PPP loans, these are the people to help you out. So we're all very, very grateful to BGW and what it is that they do. They have these monthly series. So this one is how to have your best year ever. So be ready to write. We are going to go fast, fast, fast. And I'm going to need some help from my tech people because I need to get my presentation up. So anyway, that's what we're in the middle of. So as we do that, we have 1 hour. Here's the first thing that I need to ask everybody is that I want you to get your phones out. That's right. I want you to get your calendars out. And what I would like for you to do is I would like for you to schedule 1 hour with yourself, either in the morning or at night when you're going to have some quiet time. You're going to need it. As Gary said, this is normally a 3 hour. So we're going to go through this. We're still going to do a lot today in this hour. So I would like for you right now, and I'm going to give you a few seconds to where you can put in your calendar. So whether it's tonight, tomorrow morning, this weekend, but it needs to be within this next week as a follow-up session to what we're going to do today. So I'm going to give everybody 30 seconds to where you can go ahead and put that in, and then I'll proceed from there. Thank you, Lori. Very good. I've got a couple of book recommendations for everybody as we move forward. Like you, I'm a constant learner. I always like to pick up new insights and new books. So from 2020, here are some books that I recommend. Number one is from one of my colleagues, Kevin Schulman. The book is The Goal Setting Boot Camp. Highly recommend it. You can buy it through all these books, obviously through Amazon you can get. That's number one. And I'll come back to that. Another one, a great book by Todd Herman. It's called The Alter Ego. For those of you who are in business development, it's how to bring your best self to that playing field. So I highly recommend. Todd has done a lot of research. This book, The Alter Ego, is a fantastic book, came out last year. And the last book, for those of you who read The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg, that was an excellent book on the bestsellers list about 10 years ago. This book came out, Atomic Habits. James Clear is the author. He took the power of habit and went kind of to the next step. And he gives a lot of credit to Charles Duhigg and his research. Fantastic book. Highly recommend these for all of you who are my learners out there. I'm going to let you read this quote. Wow. Who could have predicted COVID-19 last year? Many of us have so looked forward to a beginning starting point. So as we move forward, we're going to be talking about facing that uncertainty. Now, before we go in, less than 5% of the population does what we are doing here today. So why goals? And here they are. You might want to write these down. Here's the 3 reasons why. Number 1, goals help us to establish what it is that we want, what we desire, what it is that we want. So that's number 1 is that it helps us with that. It brings meaning, it brings purpose into our life. Secondly, goals motivate us. Many of us had a tough year last year. Gary said it was his best year ever. That's great. We hope a lot of you had that as well. But it motivates us, keeps us going, future-based. And number 3, it gets us through hardship. It gets us through difficulties. It gives us hope. So that's kind of the why behind the what. So a couple of things before we get started, and hopefully everybody has the handout because we're going to be doing lots of writing here today. So those of you who work with me, we do something that's called an upfront contract. So an UFC is an upfront contract. It's just a mutual agreement of what we're going to do and what's going to happen today. Number 1, this is all about you. It's not about me or anybody else. It's about you. And if you can't get excited about your future, then who will be? Number 2, we're going to push you. I'm going to push you past your comfort zones here today. Most people set goals where they're kind of comfortable, 10% ahead of where they were last year. No, I want to push you through. In fact, you know what I'd like you to do? I want you to write this down. How do I double my business? This is a business meeting. How do I double my business? How do I double my business? And you've got to become a different person if that's the goal, to double the business. How am I going to double that? And so I want you to be thinking about that. That really does push us through our comfort zone there. I'm going to talk a little bit about this ABT, attitude, behavior, and technique. I'll put up, there it is right there. There's the triangle, everything that we do as it relates to what it is that we do. And I believe a page in your handouts relates to these success triangles as well. My mindset, my behavior, which is how I use my time. And thirdly is the technique, what to say, what to do. Those of you who are in business development, our questioning skills, our sales process, how we manage pipelines, etc. On that. And the last thing is, and Gary said it, we will not complete the day. So I don't want to set up a false expectation that you're going to finish. But we certainly are going to begin with that process. So I'm going to move forward here. Let's begin the journey. First of all, this is new. Many of you were familiar with our balance wheel where there was 4 elements. The old balance wheel comprised these 4 elements: career, your health or your physical, your spiritual side, which is your level of mission, purpose, passion, and finally your family, and which is more on that personal side. So we've expanded this, and you've got a copy of it, to where there are 8 elements of the balance wheel. So let me describe those just a little bit more. Some of them are easy and self-explanatory. Physical. Fatigue makes cowards of us all. We need to take good care of ourselves. So that's an obvious, and that's going to be an area where we will want to set some goals and expectations. Next, different. Emotions and meaning. What does that mean? You know, we talk to ourselves all the time. In fact, we talk to ourselves about 400 words per minute. Fact, 76% of our self-talk is negative. Think about that. So what we need to do is, and this part right here is, what's my self-talk? What gets me off track? How do I stay on track? So emotions and meaning. Real quick example. When you get rejected, for those of you who are in business development, emotion and meaning is sometimes we take that rejection and we look at it as I failed. No, not really. But we're giving it meaning, I failed. What we really need to do is, what did I learn from that? So that's an area that perhaps we can make some progress on. Spiritual. Here's what that means. Not necessarily religion. It's more of, what is my purpose? What is my mission? What is my passion? What is it that I do or I do for others that gives me that special meaning? Next, relationships. Well, we all know it's all about relationships. Your family, your colleagues, your clients, relationships. What am I doing to enhance my relationships? Your kids, whatever that may be. Work, career, mission. Things start out with work. When you really know you're on the right track is when your work becomes your mission. My mission is to help sales professionals not to be unpaid consultants. That's right. That's what drives me, the growth and the development of people. Finance, BGW. I've got BGW to help me here with this. So whether that is my strategy of exit, whether that's how I'm using investments, we all are working on our 401ks, our retirement plans, whatever that may be, working on our P&Ls, keeping current with taxes, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We got the pros. Time, that's different. How am I using my time? And remember, my habits, that's what we're meaning here. How am I using my time? So that's new for this year. And lastly, you know, we often work so hard, and next thing you know, it's the next day, it's the next week. We need to celebrate our success. We need to take the time to really give ourselves credit and others as well, and be able to rejuvenate and restore. So that's what that 8th element is all about. All right. One of my favorite exercises of the year. Here's what I would like for you to do. Go to the goal cultivator, and I'm going to start us out. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you some time. Now, please stay with me at least through the first column. Last year's goals. Here's what I want you to write on top of last year's goals. 2020. That's right. 2020. Last year. So I want you to do a real quick recap. Gary spoke last year. It was his best year ever. He achieved those 5 goals. So here's what Gary's going to write. Gary is going to put in his 5 goals and objectives from last year. Now, if you weren't with me and this is your first time here, relax. All I want you to do is I want you to think about a year ago, what were the projects that you wanted to create? What were some of the things that you wanted to do, the goals? Important, whether you accomplished them or not. I'll give you an example. My wife and I had a goal of cruising the Baltic. We were going to go to Russia. We were going to go to Sweden. We were going to go to Finland. Guess what? COVID hits. Didn't happen. That was a goal. So I wrote that down. I want you to write down your top 4 or 5 goals or projects that you had for 2020. I'm going to give you some time to write them out, whether you accomplished them or not. Some of our moving forward, if it was a big goal and you didn't accomplish it, write it down. I'm going to give you a couple of minutes actually on this. And stay with me, please. Do not move ahead yet. I'll give you time to do that. Because I'm going to share some examples with you. Excellent, and thank you for waiting here a bit. I love this exercise, especially the next column. So we've written out last year what was most important. Hey, Gary, just kind of unmute just for a second. What was one of your goals that you had for last year?
So I'll start with the most important one, which was my marriage is in the best shape ever. Jennifer feels loved and valued and preferred. Now, wow. She will be the one that has to determine that. But I'll tell you this, with COVID and spending all of my time in this office as well as in this house, for the most part, we've spent a lot of time. We've gone through some really difficult things this year. But I would say that is, it's in a very good place.
Good. Okay. Thank you. Now, folks, every time you set a goal, and I loved what Gary said, because I'm going to talk about this later, goals need to be set in the positive and they need to be set as if they've already been accomplished. I'll talk about that a little bit later on. New things learned. You always learn something about yourself when you establish a goal. So I want you to write down, and some of those things may be tough that you pick up, but I want you to write down something that you learned about yourself. In other words, what I mean by that is sometimes we set goals and we find out later in the year they weren't as important as we thought that they were. Other times we learn we have a hardship like COVID hit last year. And I'm sure that there were some adjustments. Gary spoke about them. One of them was he's at home more. So guess what? He got more time to practice that particular goal there, right? Yeah. So you always learn something about yourself. I used to do a lot of triathlons. And what I learned was the exercise was great, but I learned I was overtraining. I learned that I had 3 children and I was away from my kids at that point in time when I was doing that too much. Did I stop exercise? Of course not. But I learned to have to wane it in a little bit. So what I want you to do is that I want you to think about, I don't want you to be hard on yourself. I want you to be completely honest. Because they could be shortcomings. What are you learning about yourself? You may learn I'm not pushing myself enough. And I'll talk about that in a little bit. My goals were too light, for example. So new things learned, and then I'm going to let you finish up. And I want you to write down what are your strengths. Now, your strengths are your clients. Your strengths are your experience. Your strengths are all those lessons that are learned. The strengths are how you've been able to get through hardships. All those things that you have are your strengths. And then I want you to be honest about your weaknesses. What are your weaknesses? How you use time? Your self-talk, perhaps. Maybe you don't push yourself enough. Anything that comes up. I'm going to give you some time to finish these 16 boxes here. Or actually, I'm sorry, 20 boxes that are here. And Gary, if you have any questions, let me know from the crew.
So far, the only question has come in, and somebody didn't get the download of the presentation or of the worksheets. So I just asked them to send me an email at gfrey, F-R-E-Y, at trustbgw.com, G-F-R-E-Y at trustbgw.com. And I will forward that to you.
Perfect. Perfect. What am I learning about myself and my strengths and my weaknesses? So we're going to complete this form. And Gary, when you complete it, give me a heads up. I'll let you be my kind of timetable.
All right. Well, honestly, I'm multitasking and trying to do this.
Okay, let's call on someone else. Let's call on somebody else where we can find out when they've completed it. Who can we call on, or who can give us a reply back in the chat box that they finished?
All right. So, Will, you are awesome because you're the one that needs these forms and you're 90% done. So adapt and overcome. You get the Adapt and Overcome Award, Will.
Thank you. I do this exercise every year between Christmas and New Year's, and I found it to be so profound. So this is a great time of year to be doing it. So I'd like for you to circle the box that surprised you the most. Look at your responses. Circle the box that surprised you the most. And after you do that, why? Please write down why. I had two insights I'll share with you. One, my goals were boring. Wow, that was a wake up. Last year, I was in a more of a routine. Yeah, it's the end of the year. I need to do goals and blah, 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 blah. So I'm being honest with you. My goals were boring. And it very much concerned me. They were routine, they were rote, boring. Secondly, I was diagnosed with melanoma last year. Actually, the week after Thanksgiving, I had a call from my doctor. I go to the dermatologist a couple of times a year. I recommend that highly with everybody. Melanoma. So I had 2 surgeries in December, and I had I've got one other forthcoming. So that was a wake-up call. And what I realized was I love going to the beach. And so now I'm going to have to, it's not that I'm not going to go to the beach. I've got to wear more sunscreen, and I'm going to have to wear more protective clothing. So that's all that really was, is that I'm still, going to go to the beach and enjoy that, walk, do exercise, be outside and all the other. I just have to make some changes. That's what this exercise, with the value that I had out of that. So let's move forward. And we are pushing quickly here. Now what I want you to do is I would like for you to go to this page right here, and you're going to see 25 spaces. And I'm going to give you some time to write out what I call your be, do, have. Could you write that on the top? Be, do, have. Now, this is not only for 2021, it's for the future. What do I want to become? What do I want to do? What do I want to have? What will my business look like? Now, I want you to think about the balance wheel. I want you to think about not just career. I want you to think about health-wise. I want you to think about career. I want you to think about that spiritual side. What gives your life purpose, meaning, passion? I want you to think about financially. This is just a list, and you actually have 2 pages here, but we're just going to be using this one here with the time. I would like for you just to write out, what do I want to become? What do I want to do? Where do I want to travel to? Where do I want to go? What will my business look like? What new clients will I have this year? This is just your wish list, your want list. Please write. Let me give you some time to write. That minimum of 7 minutes. Fill the page up. You've got another page, but fill the page up. Do I want a new home? Do I want to build a new kitchen? Anything you want. Any place you want to go to. Things you want to do with your children, your spouse. Special dreams that you have. Again, thinking balance. I'll have this balance wheel because you got that page, but I'll have the balance wheel so it'll kind of give you some good ideas and insights. 2 more minutes. Keep writing. Stretch your imagination. I have a friend of mine that wrote down he wanted to climb Kilimanjaro in Africa. Stretch, push, get out of your comfort zone. One more minute. Great job, team. Physically, what does that look like? Do I have some goals? My hero is Gary. I want to look like Gary. Emotions and meaning. What is my self-talk? How will I gear that this year? How will I treat myself well? And those positive expectations. Spiritual. What did I write down? What do I want to do with my church or synagogue, mosque? What do I want to do? How can I give back to the community? Relationships. How will I cultivate the most important relationships? Work. Obviously, where we are right now. What are my big projects that I wanted to establish this year? What does that look like? Finance, what are the goals that I have set aside for my family, for retirement, 401k, whatever that is. Time, how can I use my time differently? How will I track the key habits? And lastly, how will I celebrate? So just kind of getting you moving forward here. Now, a couple of things I need for everybody please to write down. We said you're not going to finish. This is where we want you to come back and keep writing. There's no way you could have gone to 50, but maybe so. So in your chat, here's what I'd like to ask. How many did you write down? And Gary, start if you will. Just give me some of those numbers. Please go to your chat. How many goals did you write down? Let me start seeing some of the numbers.
26, 26, 23, 11, 15, 20, 13, 19, 22.
Excellent. Good job. Thank you. Good job. All right. Now, a couple things to tighten up. I need for you to write this down. Number one, goals need to be stated in the positive. For example, I want to lose 10 pounds. That's not positive. What's positive? I want to weigh a lean, healthy, then you put in the weight. I don't want to train my brain that I want to lose. I mean, I got it. You got it too. There's nothing wrong with the goal, but our goal needs to be stated in the positive. Why? Because it helps motivate us. It provides more energy. Secondly, goals need to be stated as if they're already accomplished. So I weigh a lean, healthy, put in the weight, and I feel great. That's an example. Business goal. I have 12 new clients, 1 new client a month as a result of working hard this year. Why? Because your brain is smart enough to help you get there. So that's what we need to do. Now, a couple of other things that we need to know and tighten up. We've all heard this acronym before that goals need to be SMART, specific, who, what, where, how. If I'm going on, don't put a goal, I want to go on vacation. Where, when, what month, how much will I need? All those kind of things that come into play. My goals need to be measurable. Measurable. A, accountable. If I have some accountability, all the better with that. Accountable. Realistic. That's the R's. Goals need to be SMART. S-M-A-R-T. Goals need to be realistic. And I mean stretch. I want to stretch. Don't just say I want to increase my business by 10%. If that didn't really motivate you, stretch 15, 20%. Lastly, goals need to be time stamped. Every goal needs to have a time stamp. So, what I would like for you to do out of your list is I would like for you to either circle or put a check mark by your top goals for 2021. And the idea is I would like for you to have one major goal for these 8. One major goal. So I'm going to let you choose which of those are most important for you. And if you can't get to all 8, that's all right. This is not about pressure today. I want you to pick your top 2 or 3 that are really important, but from different categories. Don't have them all on the business side. I'll give you an example. If I have one strong goal on my business side, I promise you the rest of those sub goals are going to get taken care of. And the idea again is we want balance. So choose the top goals for 2021. Check mark, circle. I'm going to give you a minute to do that. We're doing fine with time. And you can come back to this. So now we're going to pick your top goal for the example. You pick which of the 8. We're only going to do 1. I'd like you to turn the page, and here's what you're going to see. Okay, one of these, this is just an example. Actually, this is an example of a colleague of mine in Salt Lake City who wrote this out. He obviously chose a business goal, but I would like for you, I'm going to move forward here. In your 1-year goal, I would like you to take your top goal and I want you to write it out in the positive and as if it's already accomplished. So I can add 1 letter to this as an example. I can add a D after close. Closed 750 in new business. That goal is specific. It's measurable. Okay, I've got to believe it's attainable. It's set in the positive. And because I added a letter, it's now acting as if it's already been accomplished. So I want you to write out that goal as best as you can. What you pick, whatever it is, it's positive and it's written as if it's already been accomplished. Your subconscious mind is one of our greatest gifts. If you believe that you can achieve it, your brain will tell you how to do it and what to do and help you to focus and all the other things that go along to establishing and setting and achieving that goal. Now, here's a helpful tip. I would like for you, let's go back to this page, and I would like for you, there are 8 spots. All I want you to do is title 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, 6, 7, 8 with one of the, using the balance wheel. That's all I want you to do. So just to, even if you haven't written out, we're not going to do all of your goals. We don't have time for that. But if you do this, it'll make it very, very simple. Just put to the left, business goal, next below that, whatever, spiritual, physical. So that way you've got all 8, where on the side here, you'll come back to this and you'll work on it. Just a helpful, friendly tip. We're just going to take 1 for the exercise today, your top goal. Perfect. Now let's move forward. I think this is such an important question. Stay with me here. Who cares? Who cares? So what? Well, I want you to write down in your own words why this goal is important to you. Who does it help? If it's helpful for you, your family, your company, your customers, your clients, I'm going to say that's a pretty cool goal. Obviously, we know taking good care of us physically because we all want to have a high quality of life. Whatever your goal is, take the time. Why is that an important goal? Please stay with me on the exercise. I know some of you want to jump ahead. Just stay with me if you can. Make your why deep. Deep. Who cares? Why is it important? Who does it help? Does it motivate you? Or are you just writing something down that's routine and rote and doesn't matter in a month? Hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully it's deep meaning. If your why is important, you'll do the how. If your why is important enough, you'll do the how. Next, what's the truth about the situation? Meaning today, January 19th, all that really means is, in this case here with this example right here, this particular person, we'll call him Jason, he put down there that he closed 300K in 2020, 40% of that came in the fourth quarter. Okay, that's pretty good. His goal was to do 750 this year in brand new business. So he feels pretty confident that he can do that. That's the truth about the situation. If my goal is to run a marathon and I don't even have any running shoes, that's the truth about the situation. If my goal is to run a marathon and I've done 3 half marathons, that's the truth about the situation. That's good. All it is just where we are today, the truth about the situation. If your goal is a great destination, like I want to go to Thailand, Truth about the situation is, I don't really know what hotel I'm going to be, where I'd stay. I don't even know if I can fly over there with COVID. That's the truth about the situation. So please write something down about the truth of the situation where you are today, January 19th. There's a great book. I highly recommend it. It's going to be on my list next year. I just bought it. I'm an Audible, so I like listening and reading. This book is called Who, Not How. Who, Not How. Many of us, including what we're doing today in goal setting, we get caught up on the how. How will I accomplish this goal? Yes, that's important, but not as important as this question here. Who can help me achieve it? Who? Who on LinkedIn? Who with BGW? Who can help me achieve this goal? So this is available resources and people to help you, but I really want you to think about who they are, who can help you plan a great vacation, who's going to go with you on this particular vacation, who can help you accomplish the business goal, who, not how. Book by Dan Sullivan, the author of Strategic Coach. So available resources to help you. Who are your best clients who are going to stick with you this year, who stuck with you through COVID? Or who can I recapture that because of COVID may have left us, but we need to go after them again? I had a conversation like that yesterday where I lost someone last year because of COVID. I'm having lunch with someone today to recapture. Who? Excellent. Let's turn the page and we're doing fine on time. Now we're going to break down the goal to a quarter. So please write at the top of the page. You can either write today's date or January 1, whatever you want to. Both suffice. So first quarter will be from January 1 or 19th through March 31st. Now what we need to do, since goals need to be measurable, is all we want to do is break it down. We want to show progress. So my first quarter goal is whatever you wrote down on the previous page, how do I show progress? So if my goal is to go to Thailand by March 31st, I want to see if I can book a flight. I want to book my hotel. If my goal is 750 in new business, in this case right here, this particular person, Jason, wants to bring in 150 of new business. How do I have a measurement that I show first quarter progress? Can I please get you to write this down? Because now Murphy's going to come up. If anybody's name is Murphy, I apologize, but we all know Murphy's Law. Murphy's Law states that anything that can go wrong will go wrong, blah, blah, blah. We all know that. So now what we're doing is we're going to bring in our biggest curveball. Who could have predicted COVID last year? Right? It happened. Some of us had our best year ever, others not. Doesn't matter. Here's what I'd like for you to write down. All those things that seem to oppose our goals are actually the raw material for us achieving them. All those things that seem to oppose our goals are actually the raw material for us achieving them. Obstacles. The obstacle is the way. The obstacle is the magic door. The obstacle helps us with planning, with purpose, with overcoming hardship. All those things that seem to oppose our goals are actually the raw material for us achieving them. Put down your obstacle, and I'll give you a few more minutes and then we'll conclude. I'll let, for every obstacle, you have an accompanying strategy. This takes away excuses. There's way too much excuse making in our world today. And we need to compensate for that. So every obstacle, I make a strategy. No excuses, no entitlement, no victims. It's what will I do? Knowing this could happen. We don't know how long COVID's going to last. That may be your obstacle. So what are you going to do about it? And then your last item is a specific action. Actually, it's your first step that you will take. Maybe it's a phone call. Maybe it's a reservation booked. Maybe it's buying a pair of running shoes. I don't know. But I'll let you finish up. Good job, team. Remember, we're not finished. That was all part of our original upfront contract from Gary and myself. But you have begun the process. It doesn't stop here. So what I'd like to do, Gary, if you'd like to call on a couple of people, perhaps if they're vulnerable and open to share, I always like to end with, hey, what's a lesson? What's an insight from the exercise that we did? And then what we'll do is we will come back with a couple of really quick final tips to make this stick. But let's just call that on two people with a real quick insight.
Okay, the chat is open. So hit me on the chat if you would. I do have the list of participants who are still on, so don't make me come after you and call you out. There's got to be a couple people willing to just give me a quick heads up on the chat. You know, this is what happens when you deal with an industry that's filled with a lot of introverts, Jim. It's different than salespeople.
That's okay.
All right, here we go. Good. This is good. Michelle, thank you for doing this. The why is the goal important was the most effective in getting me to set these goals. Right on, Michelle.
Cool. Very cool. Good.
Excellent, excellent insight. All right, somebody else chime in. Oh, this is good. Mine was super personal and relationship, but the format made me think of particular and specific ways to tackle it. Awesome.
Yes, absolutely fantastic. I'm going to give you, and then there's another one. Yeah, they keep coming. Thank you.
Here's another one. The most valuable insight I gained is the importance of detailing my obstacles that will hold me back from my goals. Ooh, hold on, man. We opened a floodgate here. That will hold me back from my goals and the steps to take to achieve my goals. The list the obstacle and have a strategy. Really good. Focus on your strengths and delegate your weaknesses. Amen to that. And I like trying to focus on all 8 areas. Balance. Right on, Ray.
Good. 3 final tips, folks, and then we're done. Let's set this up. Other than you spending that additional hour. Number 1, get a picture for each of the 8, something that represents success, something that gives you energy. So go to the internet, grab a picture. You could do a chart, a vision board. Vision boards are incredibly powerful. Put the vision board in your office. Put it into wherever it is that you can take a look at it. We buy emotionally. So a vision board, pictures are incredible. Secondly, put them on your smartphone. In your own voice, you've got your top goals for the year, the 8 goals. You might even want to put on why they're most important to you. Listen to them weekly. Third, because we want to get tactile and touch in there, is that if you really want to be successful with these goals, find an index card. Write one goal on the index card where you keep your keys. Men, ladies, write that goal down. You look at it daily. These are tips here that will internalize these goals and really make them work for you. And with that in mind, one other thing, I'm hoping that Rachel and Gary can follow up here. We'd love to know what you thought. We'd love to know and just have a real quick survey. I know we went through this really quick, but we so appreciate your feedback. Really important. And with that, folks, everybody have a great rest of the day. Thanks for investing your time and effort, and may 2021 be your greatest year ever. Thanks, Gary. Thanks, BGW. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Jim. And for anybody that was late, this will be up on the BGW CPA YouTube channel later on this evening or this afternoon. Thank you to Rachel. And Rachel is the queen of surveys. So I will have her, Rachel, if you'd be so kind to hit everybody that registered, because it looked like we had over 50 people on this line today. So thank you. We are adjourned. Have a great day, everyone.
Bye-bye.